Hi there, Adam Small here with Agent Sauce, and this is the Real Estate Marketing Podcast. With me, as always, is Doug Carr of
I'm here.
New Media. How you doing today, Doug?
Fantastic.
Good.
I'm a little stuffed up.
Well, you caught a cold coming back from Vegas, right?
I did.
So had a what was the conference you went to out there?
I was at Dell EMC World looking at the future of computing. It's pretty incredible.
Are the robots taking over?
That was part of the conversation actually there, but it was pretty interesting.
Good. Sounds like a lot of fun. I saw a lot of your posts and stuff on Facebook, and it made me quite envious.
We'll talk about the future of real estate marketing maybe on a podcast.
That would be an amazing
Yeah,
topic.
that'd
Let
be
me
good.
just write that down. So maybe next time, right?
Yeah. So everybody out there, make sure you subscribe to this podcast out on iTunes, and then you'll hear that.
Exactly. So, all right. So, hey, Doug, today I was thinking about talking about real estate lead generation. So, lead generation marketing for real estate agents, that sort of thing. There are a lot of technologies out there. There are a lot of old school ways of doing it. And, everybody kind of does things a little bit different. So I wanted to kind of just do a rundown of different things you could do, whether it's online, offline, old school, new school, whatever it may be, to generate leads with real estate for real estate agents, So Doug, let's talk about, types of lead generation.
So we look at passive and active are the two types. So passive is you're not doing anything, but people are coming to you. So that could be like your site is optimized for search. And so when someone searches for...
So passive is really a lot of inbound marketing. And,
exactly.
And to clarify, you say not doing anything, but really there's a lot of work that goes with inbound marketing, right?
Yeah, it's just that you didn't... So active is I see a prospect and I want to go get that prospect. Passive is I don't know who the prospect is, but I'm going to do things to try to attract them to come to me.
Okay, right.
And so passive, like search engine optimization, is a really good one in a lot of industries and in real estate too. That if you can find out, if you're doing search for real estate agent in Noblesville, and you're a real estate agent in Noblesville, are you ranking for that term?
Right.
And so there's things that you have to do to be able to rank for that term.
Right.
And then active would be more like, we're doing, maybe I specialize in executives that are relocating to Indianapolis. So I want to connect with HR directors. And I see that Adam on LinkedIn is connected to the HR director of Lilly. Well, I would say to Adam, hey, I saw that Karen over there. Could you make an introduction to me so that I could talk to her?
Right. So you're actively pursuing it.
Yeah.
You're pushing and putting yourself out there in a, I don't even want to say aggressive fashion, but in a regular, a controlled, a directed fashion, as opposed to your passive, your inbound marketing is more of a kind of like casting a net of information out there and trying to pull people in towards you.
Right.
Right. So
in the old days, active was you bought a lead list.
Right. And you sat down and you cold called that lead list, right?
Yeah. Nowadays we have, with social media and email marketing and websites, we have all the different tools that we need to capture people's email address. We can use content to attract them to our site or search. And then we have social media where we can push stuff out and try to drive connections that way. I think a lot of people kind of ignore the opportunities with social media to expand your network that way. And we've talked on the past podcasts about people just blabbing about, well, I'm closing,
saying the same thing over and over again. Well, it's my 50th closing this year. It's great. It's your 50th closing this year, but tell me about why this closing is important, right? Tell me the story about the family
or ask the family.
Yeah.
Say, as if you had a family that just said, man, this was just such an incredible experience closing on this house with you, ask them, say, you know what, would you mind tagging me on Facebook and letting your friends know about that? Because that really means a lot to me.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you have that word of mouth marketing that's really powerful.
Right, absolutely. So word of mouth marketing is a good way to generate leads with real estate, right?
Probably the best.
Probably the best. I mean, referral essentially is what that is, right? Referral and testimonial, actually. Word of mouth being more of a testimonial as opposed to a referral. But when somebody says, "Hey, do you know somebody?" That's there comes your referral,
It's huge.
right? So real estate referrals, real estate testimonials are definitely one great way of marketing. And like you said, it's a combination. You can combine that with the technologies, social media in particular, to have a much broader reach. And so it's not even the agent necessarily putting it on their page and their
Exactly.
stuff. It's their client putting it on their page and stretching that reach out beyond what just the agent's current reach is, right?
And it's a lot of times
So-
it's just asking, right?
Yeah.
If I have a great experience with a company and they ask me, if I tell them, wow, this was incredible, and they come back and say, you know what, we really appreciate that. Is there any chance that we could get you to write a testimonial or put that out on Google reviews or Facebook or Home Advisor or whatever?
Right.
I'm more apt to feel like, well, yeah, I need to do that. These guys were good people.
Exactly. So there's a lot of opportunity there with that type of marketing, with social media marketing for real estate agents to. And it's not even putting the story out yourself. It's getting your clients to put the story out for you and talk about you and promote you in a way that they are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right. So really, and that's really an effective method of marketing.
Yeah.
Because it's genuine, it's real, it's authentic, it's not paid for marketing.
Yep.
Right. So some of the paid for marketing methods, you mentioned email earlier, there are newsletters, there's promoting listings via emails, there's open house emails, that sort of thing. What other ways can you use to generate leads with email? Did I pretty much touch on all of them, or?
I think so. The big thing there is that you don't always want to be talking about selling a house, right? It's if you have someone that bought a house from you, they're done buying a house.
Right.
So now it's how do you what top 10 tips do you have for someone to increase the value of their house over time? Or,
So it's really about nurturing that relationship along until
Yeah.
they're ready to sell
What
it
are-
or buy it the next time around.
yeah,
Right?
what are color trends on painting your house? What
Right,
are
so-
landscaping costs? What are it's helping people understand that you're not just an expert at selling and buying real estate, that you're really an expert at everything to do with their family. It could be the tips on the school district. It could be telling them the 5 closest restaurants that you enjoy around them.
Right.
All those things that it's those, you call them all the time. It's those touch points. It's the gentle touch to keep top of mind.
Exactly.
So that when their friend says, "Hey, do you know a real estate agent that I can use?" and you just read that email the night before, you go,
Right.
"Oh yeah, Jennifer, she's the best. Let me forward you this email that she sends out."
Exactly. And a lot of what that email is all about, to what you're getting at, is not the real estate industry itself, because the truth of the matter is that unless you're in real estate, nobody cares about the real estate industry unless they're buying and selling. At
Right.
the moment when they decide to buy or sell, that's when they're
Right.
concerned, whether it's a buyer's market or seller's market, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Beyond that, if you inundate them with stats and the market information all the time, you're just going to lose them, right?
I agree.
What you need to do is you need to be providing something of value, either around the home or around the neighborhood, or something that they're interested in on a regular and continuous basis, so that they remain engaged.
Yep.
If you're sending emails on a regular basis, you want to keep them engaged in those emails. It's got to be something of value that's not real estate industry specific. Right. So like to your point was, top 5 places to eat in the neighborhood, and could be school closing information, and all sorts of great topics that you can talk about, how to get the most bang for your buck when improving the home, that sort of stuff. So, so you can do quite a bit with email marketing, just from maintaining top of mind marketing with real estate agents, and that leads to leads. It generates leads for you just because of the fact that you are top of mind. Right. What about print? Postcards go out. People all the time. You know, they farm neighborhoods with postcards. They send open house. They send just listed postcards. A lot of stuff you can do with emails as well. It's just a lot cheaper with email than it is with print.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I think those print pieces, and there's there's technologies coming out for a year working on with some of them with the direct to print type stuff.
Right.
That are bringing the costs way down. The interesting thing with print is I think print is still that. Whenever we're talking about any type of marketing or advertising, you want to talk about the cost, kind of per lead.
Right.
And so the problem is let's say you have an email program and you're sending out, 10,000 emails a month or something. But if it's not growing your lead base, maybe you have a tough, if it's like executives, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're an executive, you're probably getting 200, 300 emails a day.
Right.
And so your email might be, either just put into a folder where to read later or whatever. So the opportunity with print is to maybe get in touch and get in front of those people that you aren't reaching with your email.
Right. It's just a different avenue for touching. And,
so
again,
even though
top
it's
of mind, right?
Yeah, even though it's really expensive, there's times where it might come in handy, to do something like that.
Right. Well, and the thing about marketing in general, real estate marketing in particular, and lead generation for real estate is that you're never going to make the sale with just one touch and just one channel, right? You're going to touch some people with email marketing. You're going to touch some people with print. You're going to touch some people with the phone. You're going to touch other people, with ads online, with blogs and all sorts of good stuff.
I was talking to an agent here in town who was a sponsor of something and had her picture up at like the local grocery store.
Right.
And she said, I can't make up my mind whether I want to pay that every year, but I get a few calls a year where people go, it reminded me that you're...
Well, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So a few calls a year doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about a commission on a home, it could very well be double, tripling your money that you're putting into it. And depending on the effectiveness of your other marketing programs out there, that may be a great ROI. And if you're doubling or tripling your money every year, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
unless you're getting 10 times your ROI on other stuff, then maybe you want to go there. But all in all.
And there's that piece of authority too, that if she's the one that, it's her photo up, know, that, wow, she must be important. She must be really doing good. That old joke that, you never hire, the real estate agent that drives up in the used broke down car.
Right.
It's why real estate agents drive nice cars is to show that, hey, I know what I'm doing,
I'm successful at this and I live it.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So. And so there's those things like that even though they might seem like, maybe a little gratuitous expenses or ego driven or whatever, still, a real estate agent's face is their brand, and getting it out there and making sure their face is on their business cards, their emails, their everything is important so that people recognize them.
Exactly. They get their pictures. They put their picture just about everywhere. And it's all about that facial recognition, putting that face to a name so that, again, top of mind marketing, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Other ways to generate leads that you can think of for real estate agents, Doug? Nothing. Oh, okay. No. What about paid ads? Pay-per-click marketing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, pay-per-click is another one of those things that it's you can spend a lot of money and not get any results.
Right.
And so I think you have to develop these niches that that you have to go after, and so it might be. Like relocation, right? Mm-hmm. If someone is searching relocation Indianapolis, that might be a good pay-per-click term to go after if you're an expert at, helping people relocate to the city.
Right.
If it's relocation family city, relocation executive city, and I say city like Indianapolis, Noblesville, Carmel,
Nashville.
Nashville, but the point there is that if you just said, well, how much does it cost to rank, to buy ads for real estate agent?
Right. Right.
You know, well, Remax is probably paying, you know, $50 a click or whatever. And so you're just going to run your money out. And so the opportunity with pay-per-click is really to go after those niche opportunities, research them well, and then you have to stay on top of it and make sure that you're not picking up, you know, like a lot of those terms people don't even realize when they pay for a click on a keyword. It's typically a broad match keyword that it throws synonymous terms out there too.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're not getting any clicks, but you're spending a lot of money on all of these other terms. And so having a paid advertising professional help you with that is often worth the money. A lot of people will say it just doesn't work. And it's not that it doesn't work, it's just that they really don't know how to optimize their spend on paid.
Right. Well, and paid ads are definitely, like you said, it's well worth the money to hire an expert, because it's not as simple as saying, oh, I want this word, because there are hundreds of synonyms and there are, you know, thousands of sites out there, and your ad may actually end up on a competitor site.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
if you're not careful.
And your competitors might
end up on your
right
site
now be buying your name of your real estate agency, so that when people search for that, they show up too.
Exactly.
You know, that happens every day.
Yeah.
And it's totally legal.
Well, I mean, it's just marketing, right? There's nothing insofar as legality and regulation goes.
Well, a lot of people think like, well, I own that. I copyright, you know, I have a trademark on my real estate name. It doesn't matter. They can advertise on it.
Right.
So
As
long as they're not, you know, doing damage to your brand, like
libel
or, you know, they're allowed to.
Right.
Over in Europe, they're not. Did you know that?
Well, Europe's got a lot more stringent rules. Europe has more more stringent rules regarding a lot of stuff there. So, all right, Doug. Well, hey, let's wrap it up with a recommendation for one passive method of real estate lead generation and one active method of real estate lead generation.
Passive, I would do that search. You can't. For everybody listening, you can't just go out and search Google for real estate agent in your city and see who pops up. Chances are you're going to pop up because you're getting a personalized search for your location, your device, and possibly even you if you're logged in.
Right.
So a great way to do it is if you get like your iPhone or Android device out and then go to a private, incognito browser and do a search. Typically that's closer to what the real results are, and see if you show up on those results. If you don't show up on those results, then you've got some work to do, and that might be just as simple as changing your home title tag on your homepage to if it's Jim Smith, real estate agent, Nashville, Tennessee,
Right.
and so that would be my first, is just look for those easy wins where you're just not showing up in some top search results there. So that would be a passive one that I would look for. An active one is social media. I love going through my network and identifying prospects through my network, and you can too if you've got, I always pick the executive thing, because like LinkedIn, but if you see that you've got an executive that you helped relocate and he or she is really happy, go look them up on LinkedIn and then see who they're connected to. And chances are, you might be able to get a hold of the HR director and talk to them. Hey, if you need any assistance with relocation, we help out there. Or you might be able to see in the news that here in town, right, we see 200 people are going to get hired because the city is going to move into town.
Right.
Well, go see who's connected to that company.
Right.
And go ask them and say, hey, is anybody helping them with moving into town? And those are those active methods that typically a company is really happy that someone reached out and said, hey, we have this real estate agent that's interested in helping us relocate people here.
Right. Okay. So from my perspective, and I'm looking at this, I'm not really sure. I'm just going to throw two out there. Not really sure how, because I think, with email marketing in particular, it can be both active and passive.
Yeah.
Right? But I think email marketing is probably one of the most cost-effective and greatest ways to generate leads.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's
been proven over and over.
A regular newsletter,
Yep.
send it out. Even just once a month is great. And then like you were talking about earlier, make sure it's got good content in there. It's got quality content. There's something of value in there from a knowledge perspective. It can really help establish you as an authority and stay top of mind when that time comes.
Yep.
So I would throw out newsletter, email newsletter, as one of the top things I would do. And then I think beyond that, being a technology guy and having developed a lot of technology around lead generation with Agent Sauce, we see a lot of activity with both SMS and toll-free call capture.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the yards and link them to virtual tours, that sort of thing. And that's kind of that's much more of a put the sign in the yard and people text it in and get information, and you generate the lead then.
That's awesome.
And the big thing with that though is that there are two parts. One is that you got to put it on more than one listing. Put it out there, put it on multiple listings, put the codes out there on multiple listings, and you'll see activity. It's almost like it feeds on itself. If you put one out there, it kind of sits out there all lonely and isn't nearly as effective as if you put it out on 5 different listings. And I don't understand why, but I know it works that way.
Yeah.
You put it out there on multiple listings, people see it, and they're more inclined.
Well, I guess if I'm
out
house shopping, I'm guessing that real estate agents are typically sticking to a certain area and a certain style type house and everything else, or price range or whatever. And so if I tried it on the first one and I'm out on a Saturday and I look at 4 more homes, I'm so impressed with the first one that I go do it on the rest.
Well,
right?
or you see it on multiple, so you go, okay, well, that's not something weird there. Let's go ahead and try it.
Yeah.
So, but I can tell you that the more signs you have out there, it's an exponential sort of growth where you get a lot more response to it. And I like both of those methods off the top of my head, because the email can be passive and top of mind, whereas the text messaging toll-free call capture is very much right there, very specific about generating that real estate lead. So
yeah, but don't let it sit for a day, right?
No, you got to follow up on that thing lead. Right away. That's a hot lead. They text in right then and there. I think you need to follow up.
If we're talking about lead generation, that's the other thing that we have to tell people is it's amazing how many people don't follow up.
It truly is. Yeah. It's funny. I'm going to tell the story, right? We had a fella that used our service for a year with the text and the toll free, and he told me, he said, we're going to cancel, and that happens. And I said, okay, well, why are you canceling? He said, well, it's just not working. Oh, okay. So I go and I look in his system, right? And I look at the reports, and I see in a year the guy has generated over 500 leads. Ooh. 500.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it be text messaging or toll-free call capture, generate 500 leads in a year, which is, it's almost 2 a day. It's like, 1.5 a day, something along those lines, right? And, I think to myself, okay, what's going on here? And he says, yeah, well, we couldn't convert any of them. Sorry, man, with 500 leads, if you couldn't convert one, if you couldn't convert them, perhaps it's, your follow-up methodology. You need to do something. Something's got to change there.
Time to open a hot dog stand.
Yeah, something along those lines, right?
No, you're right.
So, it's about follow-up. You got to follow up, because just because they text in, and what I think was happening in reality is that people were texting in and they weren't following up. They just expected them when they texted in. Which is common.
It's really common. People are uncomfortable with making that first connection, even if you're a real estate agent and you're an extrovert and you're really warm and inviting. That first conversation with a stranger,
there's a certain amount of anxiety to it,
right?
So but what I think was happening with him is that they just weren't following up, and they were expecting the people that texted in to then follow up with them and say, hey, I really want to see this place.
Knock.
So,
please,
yeah, exactly.
I want to buy this house.
Exactly. So that's probably the best way to generate leads, and in all honesty, is follow up.
Yep.
So all right, Doug, well, hey, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
This has been Adam Small and Doug Carr with the Real Estate Marketing Podcast from Agent Sauce. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at info@agentsauce.com. Thanks and have a great day.